Hey, you're watching Rapid MMA. I'm Tyler, and this is my breakdown of DC versus Jon Jones for UFC 200. We're going to take a look at the styles matchup and maybe what DC can do differently to win this fight. Please subscribe and like this video if you enjoy the content. So how can Daniel Cormier defeat Jon Jones? DC was at his best physically, came in with a good game plan he felt would give Jones trouble. He thought he could take him down, thought he could outwork Jon Jones in the first fight. Despite a grueling pace and a very successful second round, DC couldn't impose his will. Even with Jones accepting DC's invitation to keep the fighting in the pocket and to grapple with them, he still wasn't able to secure a victory. Jones' use of leverage in the clinch to throw knees, elbows, punches, and to work the body began to wear on DC. At range, Jones found success in the southpaw stance, throwing the inside body kick, front leg side kick. In this fight, though, there's one extremely valuable asset DC has that no other fighter has had up to this point: a rematch with Jon Jones. 23 fights, undefeated, 8 title defenses, and not one person has had the opportunity to fight Jon Jones for a second time until now. And this is very important for DC because he has felt Jon's power, his rhythm, his timing, and his speed, the reach, the energy he had in the first compared to the last round. He now has the ability to take all he's learned and apply it in this rematch. DC also had the opportunity to face Anthony Johnson, someone who is even more powerful than Jon. He also fought Gustaffson, a similar body type to Jones, but with different footwork and attacks. If there's ever a time for DC to defeat Jones, it's this time.
I took a lot from the Chael Sonnen fight. I know it might not seem like that would be a great fight to watch in terms of what he did, but Chael got in his face and he started doing things that you don't normally see Jon Jones do in an octagon. So we took something from that fight.
In their first fight, DC took an infighting approach, one where it takes away Jones's reach and opens up opportunities to dirty box. He also was able to grab Jones' arm, pull him down, and throw punches. This worked very well for DC throughout the fight, but mostly in the second round. The major downside to this is Jon Jones is tall, and he has the advantage of leverage. Jon Jones took every opportunity to attack the hell out of DC's body in the clinch, and also make DC carry his weight. This is extremely taxing, especially over the course of 5 rounds, and obviously the effects showed. As the rounds went on, Jones maintained a steady pace, and DC began to slow down. If I were DC, I would avoid the clinch at all costs, and if he does happen to find himself in there, take the opportunity to attack, but focus primarily on escape and avoiding damage. Don't try to tie up and win a battle of head positioning, wrist grabbing, and underhooks. The only times DC should initiate the clinch is off the takedown attempts. If DC can't finish a takedown, he'll likely end up in the clinch. He should attack and separate. The most success one will find against Jon Jones is using a strategy that involves in and out movement and level changes. By in and out movement, I mean stepping into the pocket, throwing combinations, and exit. Even though Jon Jones has a longer reach and it's dangerous to be on the outside, DC will want to be active on the outside with his footwork. Cut angles, left and right, zigzag, and keep using feints at this range. Make Jon react to the attacks. The more DC does this, the more it will entice Jon to press forward and attack. This allows DC to not have to chase after Jon and work less to close the distance. What Jon likes to do when his opponent is on the outside is throw kicks. The front leg side kick to the knee, oblique kick, teeps, leg kicks, body kicks. The one thing I rarely see any of Jon's opponents do is make him pay for those kicks. If Jones throws a kick, answer back with 1 or 2. This is taught in Muay Thai. If a kick is thrown, throw one back. It isn't likely Jones will be KO'd or submitted, so DC will need to win by damage through accumulation. Making it a point to attack the legs of Jones will pay dividends as the fight wears on, and since he switches stances often, this will give DC the opportunity to attack both legs. If DC's cardio begins to wear, at least Jones will have less mobility. When DC steps in for combinations, end them with leg kicks every so often. It will do damage but also stifle Jon's counterattack, and give DC time to cut an angle and exit the pocket. These are great tactics for a smaller man fighting a larger man, but the person who did this the best was someone equal sized to Jon Jones, Alexander Gustaffson. Sure, Gustaffson had the opportunity to stay on the outside and attack, but a lot of what he did was in and out attacks and avoiding the clinch as much as possible. Level changes are also important. Level changes by not only feinting takedowns, but also with strikes. When DC is on the outside, it's important for him to feint takedowns and get a reaction from Jones. Get him to drop his hands or react with kicks. This will create opportunities to either take him down or get inside and land combinations. Combinations shouldn't only be thrown at the head, but to the body and legs. Like I mentioned earlier, step in for combos that end with leg kicks, exit the range, feint a takedown, throw another leg kick, then cut angles on the outside. DC will need to be in the best shape he can to do this for 5 rounds. When the 4th and 5th rounds come, DC could possibly take Jones down because he'll be taxed, just like he was in the Gustaffson fight. Jones was noticeably slower, and a powerful wrestler like DC could capitalize on this. Especially on the outside, he could catch the slower kicks from Jones. This is the approach I see working best for Cormier. I don't think the constant marching forward, plowing into the clinch, and fighting with Jones only on the inside will work. It didn't work the first time. Jones was able to time him, and the clinch fighting only worked for so long. Jones will be more prepared for clinch fighting this time around because he was probably caught off guard with that in the first fight. So does Cormier go with this style of fight? I have no idea. I do know DC wants to be first to attack and not allow Jones to read him. That could mean many things like more stalking forward, and I just don't see that working. He was in excellent shape in their first fight, and he still faded. If Jones doesn't get KO'd or submitted early, it becomes a conditioning contest, and I think Jon's conditioning is much better. In my opinion, Cormier is a heavyweight fighter, and he performs best at that weight class. I think the weight cut, and at his age of nearly 40 years old, it only serves to hinder his performance. I'm not saying he doesn't stand a chance because he does, but I think with the way the heavyweight division is played out, there's a real possibility he could be holding the heavyweight title instead. For Jon Jones, his approach is just do what he does best. Adapt on the fly, be creative with his attacks, and keep more of a range on Cormier. Jon's wrestling is top-notch, and he's incredibly tough to hold down, so that allows him to be free on the feet. I think in his last fight with Cormier, he spent way too much time in the clinch. Even though he was getting better of the exchanges, he didn't really need to do that. In the end, it did work out for Jones though, and it could be much of the same in this next fight. I'm picking Jon Jones to win this fight. There are no easy fights for Jones, even though he may make it look like it. Gustaffson, OSP, Cormier, Glover Teixeira, and Anthony Johnson are all tough style matchups. Jon Jones manages to always figure it out though, and I think he's the best light heavyweight of all time, and one of the best ever. Other than Jon being creative, tall, and having a long reach advantage, he also has a key advantage in this fight. He's fought DC before, and just like it benefits DC, it benefits Jon Jones as well. Now, many people are going to look at things like Jon's time off, ring rust, and his performance against OSP. Personally, I think these are non-factors. Jon was preparing for an entirely different style of fighter than OSP. Jon played it safe and dominated OSP from the outside. That's a pretty good performance for someone with extended time off and distractions outside the octagon. I see this fight ending in a few different ways. If DC wins, I think it would either be by submission or decision. DC could always catch Jones in a scramble or find his neck in the clinch. I think if DC implements the right game plan, he could walk away with the decision. I think it's really important for DC to blend his striking in with his wrestling. That's the key factor. I think Jones could win by TKO from elbows. He could probably find a submission against DC, but it'd probably be by decision. My immediate feeling was that Jon would try to wrestle DC more in the rematch because he talked about working on his jiu-jitsu. He also seemed really excited about what style he was going to bring against DC leading up to their first scheduled rematch. Now that it's delayed, some of those things could have changed. I have a lot of respect for DC, so I think he'll go the distance again with Jones. I think it'd be really tough for Jon to submit someone like DC, but you never know. So my pick is going to be Jon Jones via unanimous decision. I think we'll see an awesome fight where both guys bring something new to the table, but I've never picked against Jones, and I'm definitely not doing it here. So let me know what you're picking in this fight. Please share this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching Rapid MMA, and please be sure to subscribe for more UFC 200 coverage.